So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, Detroit Lions training camp continues through the preseason, and day 8 of training camp is officially over. And with more days of training camp, of course, comes more players, more big plays, and more major takeaways. And today, that is exactly what we are going to be talking about. We're going to be recapping day 8 of training camp, recapping the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the standouts, and everything you need to know about the day. So, with all that being said, and without any further ado, let's get right on into taking a look at day 8 of Detroit Lions training camp. Now, starting off, there was a little bit of a fight at today's camp. There are tempers starting to rise, right, with pads coming on, hits starting to take some effect, and with the Lions not having played any other team but themselves for the past week and a half, tempers are starting to rise, and there was a little bit of a fight. Now, before anything crazy happens or before anybody makes any crazy assumptions, no, there was no injuries, there was no, whole team brawl or anything like that, but there were some words exchanged and there were a few punches thrown at today's camp as some tempers got out of hand. Austin Bryant and Dan Skipper went against each other constantly yesterday at camp, and after a particular rep, Austin Bryant decided that he had had enough and did start throwing some punches at the offensive tackle. Logan Stenberg, the backup left guard, did come over and separate them and throw a few punches of his own, but that kind of ended there. It was very quick, it was very short-lived, and everybody got separated and went back to playing. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown as well as Amani Oruwariye also had a little bit of a battle. There were no physical punches thrown, but there was a very, very physical rep where words were exchanged in the aftermath. Now, obviously, fights are not good in training camp, but I don't think it's anything to be too concerned or too worried about. They happen to almost every single team in camp. They've already happened to the Bills. Josh Allen got into it with a defensive lineman. They've happened with the Giants numerous times already. It's been all around the NFL. It happens every single year. So although it's not a good thing, I wouldn't be too concerned about today's battle. Now, getting on to some of the impressive players. DJ Chark is continuing to have a very, very strong camp for the Detroit Lions. He's stacking good day on good day on good day. He looks to be very well healed from his ACL injury, and he is just playing very well as a wide receiver one. He's catching a lot of touchdowns, making a lot of big plays for this Lions offense. And today he had the play and the catch of the practice as he made a 35-yard diving grab in the end zone in a 2-minute period for the win for the offensive side of the ball. He's been playing very well, creating really good separation, winning his one-on-ones, winning in 11-on-11s, making big plays in competitive team drills. He has been exactly what the Lions have been looking for in a wide receiver one, and him and Jared Goff are developing a really, really nice chemistry between the two. Now, getting on to some defensive news. Aiden Hutchinson is having a very good camp, as many of you are well aware, but when the pads first came on, Aiden Hutchinson wasn't quite the dominant force that he was without pads, right? He kind of got his welcome to the NFL moment when Penei Sewell put him on the ground in the first rep of pads, right? TJ Hawkinson got the best of him once. Penei Sewell, thoroughly dominated Aiden Hutchinson in the first day of pads. And although Aiden, I wouldn't say had the worst day I've ever seen from a rookie, he certainly wasn't as good as he was maybe in days prior. However, in days 2 and 3 of padded practices, he very well bounced back in his pads, getting multiple wins versus not only Penei Sewell, but the rest of the first team offensive line. He's gotten multiple sacks and pads at this point, and yesterday he finally started matching blow for blow with Penei Sewell. The prior 2 days, Penei Sewell has really gotten the better of Aiden Hutchinson, but Aiden Hutchinson went to the film room, he watched some tape, he kind of learned from the mistakes of the first couple days and came back and gave Penei Sewell a really, really good battle, right? Penei Sewell, obviously being the great offensive tackle that he is, made some adjustments as well. They went back and forth. They both won a respectable amount of reps against each other, but they are having a really, really tough camp battle right now, and they are both looking extremely well going into the preseason. Now, the secondary is also starting to show up, and the secondary is starting to shine in Detroit as well. Of course, we've talked a lot about, Jeff Okudah returning. We've talked about Will Harris's transformation and his positional change. We've talked about a lot of different secondary members, but I feel like we haven't really talked about them making a ton of plays so far, right? They've been having good camps, but I wouldn't say they've been having like the most outstanding camp you've ever seen from a defensive back. However, yesterday when they were doing one-on-one drills, a drill that typically favors the offensive side of the ball, and in particular the wide receivers when they are matched up one-on-one versus the cornerback, our secondary started making a lot of plays and got their hands on the football a lot, as Amani Oruwariye, Jeff Okudah, and Mike Hughes all won their respective one-on-one battles with the matched up wide receiver. And in a one-on-one drill where there's no time, there's no pass rush, it's just you and the wide receiver in an open field, it very generally favors the wide receiver in that position. However, all three of those DBs made a really good play on the football and broke up the pass, and Will Harris on the fourth rep of that drill was very close to batting another pass away. The pass was caught on Will Harris, but Will Harris was in incredibly tight coverage and made the tackle almost immediately after the ball hit the wide receiver's hand. So the secondary, I think, is kind of starting to find their stride this year. So the secondary, I think, is starting to finally find their stride a little bit in camp, kind of building that confidence. It's really good to see Jeff Okudah winning those one-on-one battles. Same thing with Amani and Mike Hughes. And again, even though he lost the battle, Will Harris was incredibly close to breaking up a fourth pass on the day. And news is also coming out about the secondary, talking about how Ifeatu Melifonwu is making a very clean transition to the safety position, right? I know Kirby Joseph has been making a couple plays throughout camp. I know that the starting safeties have been playing fairly well, and the secondary is kind of starting to find their stride. And if they can match even half of what the pass rush is producing right now in camp, the Lions defense should be pretty hard to get past come the 2022 NFL season. The pass rush has been good for a while in Detroit at training camp, right? Pretty much since they showed up, they've been a very good, very disruptive unit, and the secondary is starting to follow suit just a little bit and be a little bit more aggressive on those passes, which is allowed because, of course, the pass rush is starting to get there and the ball has to come out a little bit faster. Now, the Lions are continuing to host a kicking battle between Austin Seibert as well as Riley Patterson. Riley Patterson, of course, finished the year last year as the Detroit Lions kicker and made some pretty high-pressure kicks in game scenarios. However, he is starting to fall behind a little bit in practices as Austin Seibert continues to be perfect on the day. He made 4 for 4 on his kicks, and Riley Patterson went 3 for 4 with the only missed field goal coming from the long 53-yard attempt that snuck just outside the field goal post. Now, both of them have been having a very good camp. There is no situation like last year where we don't know if we're going to have a good kicker, right? Where we're cycling through all of these guys and we're having 3-4 kickers throughout the preseason. It is between these two guys, and from what I've seen, I think Riley Patterson is the right choice just because of the fact that he made those kicks in games a year ago. However, it seems like Austin Seibert is giving him a very big run for his money, and we could be seeing a new kicker in Detroit at the start of the season that isn't named Riley Patterson. Now, a couple of standout players to end off the episode. First off, I want to talk about Trinity Benson. Trinity Benson is a player that has gotten a lot of hate early on in his Detroit Lions career, right? The Lions traded for him after the preseason last year. He didn't really play a whole lot, didn't really get a whole lot of targets or snaps or opportunities. Now, a lot of people are upset that Trinity Benson is a Detroit Lion and that we weren't able to use those other, third and fifth round picks that we used to acquire Trinity Benson from the Denver Broncos. However, in the absence of Jameson Williams and Quintez Cephas, Trinity Benson has been taking a few reps with the first team, getting some chemistry with Jared Goff, because he will likely be called upon in the preseason to maybe play as a fourth wide receiver. Now, Trinity Benson had a very good preseason a year ago with Denver and is a pretty good wide receiver in the NFL. You can do a lot worse than Trinity Benson as a depth/practice squad wide receiver, but in the absence of both Jameson Williams and Quintez Cephas, Benson has been a very reliable target for both the second and third string offenses and has been making quite a few plays deep down the field for the Detroit Lions offense. Now, Austin Bryant, despite starting a fight yesterday, has actually been having a pretty good camp, has been causing some disruption, has been getting to the quarterback, has been, being a disruptive force on the defensive line like we drafted him to be. It does kind of stink that he started that fight. It kind of puts a negative energy, kind of puts a negative vibe on the actual success that he's seen during camp, but I wouldn't want to forget that Austin Bryant is becoming a pretty good force on that defensive line and is causing some disruption among the Detroit Lions defenders. And then fifth round pick James Mitchell had quite a good day at camp yesterday as well. He didn't really get the opportunity in mini camp or OTAs to really show what he could do because of the ACL injury that he is recovering from, but at the start of training camp, Mitchell did return to the field and has been making quite a few plays throughout the day. I believe he had a really nice touchdown grab in yesterday's camp and just overall has been making some pretty impressive contested catches already. So, with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. That is day 8 of training camp updates and takeaways that you need to know. Let me know down in the comments below what your takeaways are from these. What do you think about the fight? What do you think about, the defensive backs kind of finding their own and standing their ground? What do you think about Hutchinson bouncing back versus Penei Sewell? I'd be very curious to you guys think about all of that and more. But with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching. Until next time, and as always, go Lions!